Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, when the fluctuations of the mind, or when we have control over the fluctuations of the mind, that's where yoga is. That's where yoga happens. Sutra 1.1, which is just basically presence, is when yoga happens. Sutra 1.2 is saying that what presence means is that we are no longer distracted by the 5 vrittis, the 5 qualities of the mind or aspects of the mind, which are undistorted knowledge, direct perception, or misconceptions. These two are kind of contrasting aspects of the mind. We have the ability in the mind to, through our senses, to understand in our experiences, to know what is true. The ability can come from, we can find truth from trusted sources such as scientific studies. We can find from our own senses, our own experience, and from perhaps a teacher of some sorts. Like these yoga teachings are about experiencing truth. And now hopefully what happens is a combination of the two. We have like someone that we trust is giving us information, and then our experience through our senses, our direct perception, come together and say, this is the truth. Now that would be undistorted knowledge that we gain when those two worlds come together. Now, the other side of it, and this is where it gets fun, is misconception. And that is everything we've been talking about so far. When we talked about samskaras altering our perception, so our past experiences form patterns that alter the way that we see life through the eyes, through our ears. That's why if you stand in a room and look at an art piece with several people, everyone's going to have a different emotional experience, different thought. And if you ask them to express themselves about that painting, most people are going to have a different expression of what they see and what they feel from it. So we all have unique qualities, which is great. We want that. But what happens when it comes to knowledge, and you can see this, we can throw out all the facts in the world based on scientific studies, but if we haven't directly experienced that fact ourselves, or if we've had an opposite because of our perception, then we can have a whole world of arguments, which is what happens in life. So two contrasting qualities of the mind are undistorted knowledge and misconception. We have the ability to do both. Thank you. Then we have sleep and memory and imagination. So when all 5 qualities cease to arise, you think about waves on a surface. These are like the qualities of the mind. Imagine that the surface of the ocean is rough. Okay, that's kind of what happens in the mind. Now, the way that I interpret it, please allow me to kind of give you my perception of what has helped me, is that it's not that we're trying to just stop all the waves and calm the surface. It's not that we're trying to calm the qualities of the mind. It's actually, I'd rather, in my perspective, and I think this is a little bit more of a tantric viewpoint, is to embrace that these 5 qualities exist and say, wow, I've got the mind. That is an incredible mechanism that allows me to experience life. And instead of just rejecting it and finding shame about it being human, I recognize that that's the surface of my experience, the waves. But if I put my attention below the surface into the stillness, unwavering, unchanging experience that is also available to me, maybe not on the level of consciousness of the mind, but on a deeper level of consciousness, or if you want to say higher level of consciousness, whatever that might be for you. When you go beyond that surface level and into the depth of who we are, you could say that's the layers of awareness or bliss. That is where yoga happens. So yoga chitta vritti nirodha, when the fluctuations of the mind cease to exist, or my personal interpretation of that is when you harness your attention and direct it below the surface level of the mind and into the depth of who we are, that is where yoga exists. Full focus on what you're doing. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. If you focus completely on what you're doing, it is natural for the mind, or the fluctuations of the mind, the waves of the surface, to release. You might already start feeling it as you channel your energy into the depths of who you are. Your attention starts to build. So let's do this again together. Inhale, big circles. Focus on the power.